You are listening to the FEBIS podcast, and my name is Sylvia Amaral. To know more about FEBIS, visit our web at www.febis.org and follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. Please subscribe to our podcast and stay tuned. The term artificial intelligence is omnipresent in the public debate and carries as many promises as concerns in all its application fields. The European Council has adopted its common position on legislation on artificial intelligence. The objective is to ensure that artificial intelligence systems placed on the EU market and used in the Union are safe and respect existing legislation on fundamental rights and the values of the Union. The proposal follows a risk-based approach and establishes a uniform and horizontal legal framework for AI aimed at ensuring legal certainty among other aspects. It also goes hand in hand with other initiatives, including the Coordinated AI Plan, which aims to accelerate AI investments in Europe. Of course, a lot more could be said in this matter, but in today's episode, we will center our attention on AI and cybersecurity, its advantages and risks. For that, we have invited Sandrine Richard, lawyer and expert in ethics in AI and corruption. So, Sandrine, a very warm welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Sandrine, straight to the point. What could you say are the benefits on AI in cyber?
Okay, it is not longer a question of if the company will be attacked, but when the occurrence will occur. We are becoming aware of the immense challenges of fighting cyber attacks. This is where artificial intelligence comes in, and with it, new form of digital protection. Artificial intelligence has immense potential in the fight against cyber risk because it can analyze large numbers of files at regular intervals to reveal potential risks. Artificial intelligence in cybersecurity is constantly learning and improving security processes. From the data gathered from previous cyber attacks, it identifies new threats. For example, in security, artificial intelligence can identify and prioritize risk, quickly detect malware on a network, adequately propose a solution to incidents and detect intrusions before they occur. The quality of the diagnosis, but also the speed of response following an attack on an organization's information systems. Among all the possible applications, we find an interest in the contribution of artificial intelligence in the following areas. For example, automated threat detection. Artificial intelligence can detect network attacks, malware intrusions, and other cyber threats to stop the progression of the attack as quickly as possible and thus avoid its propagation in the information systems of an organization before any real damage is caused, including among its partners, whether they are customers or suppliers. The artificial intelligence needs only a few seconds or minutes to analyze the relationships between threats, such as malicious files, suspicious IP addresses, or internal threats. Artificial intelligence immediately and autonomously, without human involvement, generates a defensive patch once an attack has been identified. For example, machine learning algorithms detect situations that are out of a normalized context or system performance anomalies that may indicate a security breach. Cyber data analysis and machine learning is also used to analyze data in order to build models and thus allow for the early identification of flaws in an organization's cyber risk management. artificial intelligence assists the system quickly, multiplying the ability to solve problems. It identifies weak points in the security networks. Also, another example, it detects anomalies in data flow. Securing data whilst working on thousands of pages is an impossible mission for a human. That's why artificial intelligence systems can detect anomalies in the data flow in information systems, allowing to analyze patterns to find similarities or differences on the current actions. This approach can facilitate the detection. This approach can make it easier to detect anomalous behavior before it becomes malicious activity. For example, someone trying to access confidential information without proper authorization. For example, secure software development. The need for more sophisticated tools and technologies is becoming a key issue due to the increasing number of cyber attacks. Artificial intelligence enables more secure software by providing developers with real-time feedback on whether their code is closed or not. Another example, securing authentication. Depending on the application, it's necessary to have a user login. Artificial intelligence makes the authentication process more secure by using the physical recognition technique. It relies on certain elements to recognize an individual, like facial recognition, fingerprint scanning, among other recognition techniques. Then, the artificial intelligence uses the key piece of information get read in real time and detects whether the connection is authentic or not. Global security. As the threats facing enterprise networks are constantly evolving, cyber criminals are changing their approaches and other tactics to infiltrate an organization's security network. So, the artificial intelligence deployed on the network will help to counter these attacks in the best way possible, especially if there are different attacks at the same time, such, such as phishing attacks, ransomware, or even denial of service attacks. After reading all these elements, we can see the interest that the use of artificial intelligence can represent in the fight against cyber offenders. Indeed, analyzing large volumes of data, identifying polymorphic malware, spotting unusual behavior, or drastically reducing response time are all situations that artificial intelligence can handle with formidable efficiency. But the cloud is not the solution to fight against cyber attacks. By using the cloud to back up their data, most companies thought they were protected against cyber attacks. First, with the COVID crisis, cloud adoption in organizations has accelerated significantly. But as new cloud environments and services are deployed, thousands of identified bad permissions are created, many of which are ignored. This is leading to a de facto increase in the level of cyber threat. Attackers are able to detect hidden, misconfigured, or unused cloud permission to enhance cloud-based identified processes. Cyber offenders then seek to hijack all the computing power the cloud can offer for their own benefit. So finally, the cloud can also be a source of constraints and difficulties when users do not have complete control over the infrastructure and are therefore dependent on the service provider. Moreover, it can be observed that all too often the terms of responsibility sharing are still very opaque, with too many difficulties in intervention, investigation, detection, and remediation of problems. So we can also mention the location of data abroad, which can have consequences for data protection and sovereignty.
Interesting, Sandrine. So, what developments can we actually expect thanks to AI?
In its current state of development, artificial intelligence offers the possibility of analyzing the metadata of network flows within adapted infrastructures. This makes it possible to provide robots with solutions that will intervene in an automated way without any human being able to intervene. Thanks to deep learning and machine learning technologies, an artificial intelligence can manage 3 to 4 times more data than traditional surveillance hard drives, retain significant volume of data over time, and adapt to situations with different sources of information, whether it is written, audio, or video data. That's why artificial intelligence has become indispensable. To do without it today, you will need several dozen people dedicated to cybersecurity in every company, with a level of security knowledge equivalent to an security operations center. This is simply impossible. In conclusion, I can say that cybersecurity remains a complex issue, but artificial intelligence can be a powerful tool to help protect against cyber attacks. Technologies are at the origin of most of the major innovations made in cyber defense in the last few years, and they allow to establish interesting bridges in the human-machine collaboration, thus widening our knowledge, which makes cybersecurity progress in companies. At the same time, they have allowed cyber attackers to develop new forms of intelligent and automated attacks. As always in these situations, the attackers are one step ahead of the defenders. The techniques used by hackers are becoming increasingly sophisticated. It is becoming urgent for defenders to take initiatives to improve environment, tools, processes, application domains to regain the advantage. The artificial intelligence war is probably just beginning.
Well, Sandrine, it's a bit scary, really. But you have just mentioned a lot of benefits. But what about the risks linked to the progress of AI?
For example, Valley is an artificial intelligence that can synthesize your voice and even reproduce its emotions. A team of researchers from Microsoft has launched Valley, a new artificial intelligence capable of synthesizing your voice. This model is not yet available for the moment to the general public, but is already raising questions about the ethics and the danger of the project. But artificial intelligence has also increased cyber attacks in both senses of the word. On the one hand, the number of attacks on artificial intelligence techniques and algorithms has increased. And on the other hand, the cyber attacks have themselves increased in the sense that they are much more sophisticated. These artificial intelligence dope attacks, according to a vast CEO, started to appear as early as 2019 and have since been massively adopted by hackers because the technologies are accessible and available. Moreover, these cyber attacks are not limited to simple viruses, but also incorporate social engineering and phishing schemes.
So, Sandrine, how can cyber criminals use AI?
Okay, it's a good question. Data poisoning is probably the most well-known and simplest attack on artificial intelligence algorithms. In particular, cyber attackers can manipulate the datasets used to train the artificial intelligence, make small changes to the parameters, develop carefully crafted scenarios to avoid raising suspicion, while gradually steering the artificial intelligence in the desired direction. It's very dangerous. If cyber criminals do not have access to data, they can also resort to evasion. This technique involves playing with the application's input data to obtain a different decision than would normally be expected. An attacker can, for example, change the data point of a face to full facial recognition application. For example, system and networks attack. You can find cyber attacker can also use artificial intelligence technologies to create intelligence malware. They are capable of autonomously propagating across a network or system until they reach the target defined by the hackers. So artificial intelligence also allows hackers to automatically generate false information or deepfake if you prefer. This can then lend credibility to phishing attempts and other social engineering methods with, for example, fake video. Fake video are almost undetectable, so this is another issue. Then allow attackers to impersonate a person in order to request access to secure data. For example, personalized and automated messages. This content with more credible and specific. This is another issue. So machine learning allows artificial intelligence to learn about users' daily activities and thus consider unusual behavior as anomalies. Then, artificial intelligence system can be set up to immediately lock out suspicious user accounts or instantly alert system administrators. It's very useful. So we can talk about also integrating artificial intelligence into antivirus software. Artificial intelligence enhanced antivirus software is able to identify anomalies on a network or system by detecting programs that exhibit unusual behavior. That artificial intelligence enhanced antiviruses also leverage machine learning tactics to understand how legitimate programs interact with an IT. Once a malicious program is introduced to a network, the antivirus can immediately neutralize it by preventing it from accessing resources and data. This is so important. These antivirus programs no longer rely solely on a signature database, but can detect new threats by themselves. So we don't have time to enter in the detail, but we can list like automated analysis tool and intelligent phishing detection tools. However, while artificial intelligence is full of resources and features that can be exploited by cyber criminals, these same tools can be used by cybersecurity experts. This is one good point.
I think it's coming the time for a general conclusion, Sandrine, and I would ask you AI for cybersecurity in the future. How do you see it?
Wow, it's a very, very important question. But I can say artificial intelligence has immense potential in cybersecurity. Indeed, if properly harnessed, artificial intelligence systems can automatically prevent threats, protect sensitive data, and identify new types of malwares. Here are some major applications of artificial intelligence in cybersecurity. For example, and I will finish by this example, user behavior modeling. Companies are using artificial intelligence to monitor and model system user behavior. Their objective is to monitor the interactions between the IT and its user and to immediately detect takeover attacks or possible information theft by malicious employees.
I'm sure that, like in all technologies, the hardest part is to control its use in a bad way. So this couldn't be different. Sandrine, we will meet again to continue talking about AI or the metaverse. We don't know. But thank you very much for having joined us today.
Thank you. It was a pleasure, Sylvia, and many thanks for everything.
We would love to hear your feedback and thoughts for future episodes. You have been listening to the FEBIS podcast. If you like the content, please subscribe. Thank you for listening.